What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Lonnie Reacts and we are back with another reaction video. Now this video is titled Exposing the Grift, Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy. Now this is by the YouTuber D Birdman. I actually do love watching his videos like in my free time or in my any spare time I have, but I've never actually reacted to one of his videos on this account. And he basically just has a series where he exposes racist people for their stupidity, stupid mindset, excuse me, and just the stupid things they do and say. Now off rip, I know this is going to be about this new and upcoming Christopher Nolan movie on the Odyssey, which these dumbass people have actually never read, because if they did, they probably get mad at the ancient Greeks themselves for putting black people in their mythology. Like this isn't some type of rewriting history, it's just what the Greeks themselves did. Now I don't even think Lupita Nyong'o is going to play as Helen of Troy. These people have just been fucking lying. This is so insane to me, just like how stupid these people are. If these people were to pick up the Odyssey, like the multiple 24 Odyssey books or chapters, they'd get so mad because there are Ethiopians or black people in the Odyssey. And if these people were intelligent, they know that the Odyssey itself had flashbacks to the Trojan War, which this movie itself is going to have. And in the Trojan War, in Greek mythology, there was an Ethiopian king. Ethiopia is a term the Greeks use to describe black Africans. Mainly Nubians. And in the Trojan War, there's an Ethiopian king named Memnon who leads an army of Ethiopians to fight the Greeks. And he kills Nestor's son in one-on-one combat, but loses to Achilles. Like these people don't know this because they don't actually know shit about Greek mythology. They don't know shit about anything they talk about. They just like to talk. And it's actually insane to me how, you know, stupid these people are collectively as a whole. So honestly, with that being said, I don't have too much to say. Let's just dive into this, man.
Christopher Nolan's latest film, The Odyssey, has cast Lupita Nyong'o in an undisclosed role as of the writing of this video, and there has been speculation.
Undisclosed role. She could be fucking playing fucking Andromeda. Andromeda, if you didn't know, was Ethiopian in Greek mythology, black. There were many black deities in Greek mythology. It's really fucking common sense, but these people are extremely stupid. It's actually insane to me.
And that she's portraying Helen of Troy, the mythological figure known for her
and
beauty.
Even then, I'm sorry for pausing, but Helen of Troy's mother was molested by a mythical swan, and Helen fucking hatched from an egg. It's mythology. Why are you crying about dumb shit? And even then, Helen of Troy is just stated to be one of the most beautiful women on earth. There are like older Byzantine Greeks who describe her as like with blonde hair, etc. But like, I mean, the ancients don't really do that. And you know, these people just talk the talk, essentially. As we just said, I think they just like hearing themselves talk and just love to complain about stupid shit.
Be present in Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. Naturally, this rumor has sent the internet into a frenzy with claims of race swapping and woke agendas, which of course I find strange for a variety of reasons, such as this film doesn't contain a single Greek actor in its main cast.
Thank you. And this is shit white Americans do. White Americans want to be portrayed as the fucking Romans, the fucking Greeks. They want to be the fucking Egyptians. They get so upset when anybody but a white American is playing those roles. And it simply comes from entitlement. They have been playing these roles for centuries. Hell, white Americans were playing roles for fucking Genghis Khan in the 1960s. Like, they're so used to this shit, they're now getting upset that, you know, they can't be portrayed as these fucking mythical beings, excuse me. Like, it's insane to me, man.
But we'll get into that a bit later. In this video, we're going to tackle an upload by Ryan Kennel, the perfect guy to talk about ancient Greek poetry. Take it away, Ryan.
When it was announced that Christopher Nolan was going to be doing an adaptation of The Odyssey, quite frankly, it got a lot of attention because the idea of Chris Nolan tackling a project like this, a nearly 3,000-year-old epic that Homer wrote, like, it's so cool, the possibilities that you could imagine if this was done properly. And then we started to get cast announcements. Then we started to get trailers, promotion material, all these things, yet still a lot is being kept rather close to the vest. They're being rather tight-lipped about who might be playing what when it comes to The Odyssey, but there are certainly rumors abound. And as we've seen more trailers, the idea that Travis Scott is in this, the casting of John Leguizamo, a lot of castings, Elliot Page, that are raising some eyebrows. But maybe Maybe none more so than this persistent rumor that blew up over the weekend. And that is about Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Troy, described in pretty great detail.
I think that's a perfect place to pause. Firstly, I'd like to point out that Ryan specifically chose this tweet, one from a neo-Nazi account referring to Lupita as a sub-Saharan African monkey, to feature in his video because Ryan is an unabashed racist. Only he knows his video would get demonetized if he said this, so he instead uses a proxy to say what he really wants to say.
Essentially.
And before you ask, yes, Ryan is a provable racist. Here he is giving The Batman a lower score specifically because apparently there was insufficient white representation amongst heroic characters, even though the movie is literally about Batman, and that the mayor, Jim Gordon, and Catwoman were portrayed by black actors.
But there were only a couple...
Just look at him. He looks inbred. Like, and these are the people who have so much shit to say. You are stupid. Stop talking. Just enjoy the movie. You clearly don't read. You don't know anything you're talking about. So just enjoy the movie. Literally.
Good people in this movie. You had Bruce Wayne, Batman, and you had Alfred. Those are the only two good white people. The rest of the three other major players that I would consider like overall like moral good people were, you had Jim Gordon, who's black in this. You had Catwoman, who's not white in this. And then you had the mayor, who's a black woman. Again, very much on the nose for current day Hollywood. Did not like that. Took a little bit off the score for me, to be honest.
So, as we can see, this is not an accusation I'm levying against Ryan arbitrarily. You now understand not only why he chose to make this video, but also why he chose this specific tweet, opposed to the literal hundreds of other tweets highlighting this rumor. Anyway, the claim Ryan makes is that Helen is described in pretty great detail. This shows how ignorant of the topic this guy is, and that he said
she's genuinely not. Homer does not describe Helen in any specific details. She's simply the most beautiful woman like on fucking earth. Later Greeks, and during like the 6th and 7th century, the Byzantines, they wrote about Helen of Troy having blonde hair and blue eyes, etc. But that's not in Homer's fucking version, like literally.
Simply intends to grift on this issue, as one of the most famous aspects of Homeric poetry is that Helen is never given a concrete physical description. In fact, that ambiguity is one of the defining features of the character. When describing Helen, Homer chose evaluative language, or language that describes how she made people around her feel, rather than concrete details about her appearance. Specifically, Homer chose to use what are known as formulaic epithets, or traditional descriptive phrases that are shortcuts for character descriptions. There is an entire Wikipedia article dedicated to Homer's epithets, and in the context surrounding Helen, you'll see these, which are general epithets that refer to women: white-armed, lovely-haired, and long-robed. It is important to understand that these are not individualized physical descriptions, and that the Odyssey is a narrative poem using poetic language. The most obvious one is white-armed, which people will use to suggest this describes Helen's skin color. It does not. Someone who is white-armed in Homeric expression is someone who mostly stays inside and lives a life of relative leisure. In other words, a person who is not out in the sun.
I didn't even know that, honestly.
Sun working all day. Greece is in the Mediterranean, and we know the people there have various skin.
Olive skinned. And what's so insane to me is this rhetoric about Mediterraneans has just completely changed over like the last 40 to 50 years. White Americans, aka Anglo-Saxons, or the most racist people on this planet, they did not like Mediterraneans. Either Mediterranean migrants who migrated to America, they were frequently lynched along with black Americans, excuse me. They weren't white, they were the Mediterranean races. It wasn't until like 50 to 60 years ago that these people started calling them white to LARP onto Mediterranean history, like the Greeks, the Romans, etc. More people need to know this because, like, I'm sorry, the Greeks are still to this day not white. They are fucking olive skinned. You have some lighter skinned Greeks, sure, but the ancient Greeks were not white, and it's pretty fucking obvious. Like, I'm really sorry. They were olive skinned.
This is not to suggest that Homer was describing a black woman of African descent. I am simply debunking the claim that Ryan has made that suggests Helen was physically described in great detail in the Odyssey, because she was not.
Described in, pretty great detail.
In contrast to Helen, the hero of the story, Odysseus, was physically described in the Odyssey. We know that, over time, humanity is becoming taller, mainly due to nutrition and the advent of certain technologies. In the Bronze Age, which is the time period the Odyssey takes place, humans were a bit shorter than modern humans. From skeletal data we have of the remains of the people of the Mediterranean, we know that, on average, men were around 5'4" to 5'7". Agamemnon was described as being taller than average men, so we can safely conclude Agamemnon was at least 5'8" or taller. In Book 3 of the Iliad, Odysseus is described as being shorter than Agamemnon by a head, which would safely place him in the 5'4" to 5'6" range, assuming Agamemnon was around 5'8". The problem, dear viewer, is that the person Nolan cast to play Odysseus is 5'10", who in the Bronze Age would tower over the vast majority of people. Where are the videos criticizing the casting of the too tall, too gray, fair-haired, not Greek?
You know why? Cause he's white. Cause he's white. He looks nothing like a fucking ancient Greek, by the way. It's fucking insane how ignorant these people are. Like,
American English accented Matt Damon. Oh, it's okay to take liberties with the source material as long as the person you cast is white? Well then, this suggests your problem is not with portraying the characters as accurately to the source material as possible, but that you don't like when black people get to play in the same sandbox that white people get to.
Precisely.
That, my friends, is textbook racism.
Lupita Nyong'o.
I really hate to pause again so soon, but Ryan repeatedly mispronounces Lupita's name, and I'm not entirely sure that it's not on purpose. Her name is Nyong'o, not Nyong'o. I don't know where Ryan is seeing the letter W in her name, what with it literally being on screen and all, but you would think with an unusual name himself, he would at least be a bit more careful about pronouncing someone's name. Unless, of course, he's doing this on purpose, in which case it's probably him being racist as usual.
Lupita Nyong'o has been rumored to be Helen of Troy for a while, and these rumors blew up over the weekend. Lupita Nyong'o is playing Helen of Troy in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Now, considering that Helen of Troy is described a very specific way, fair-skinned, white arms, pale, golden hair, you can understand why the casting of Lupita Nyong'o, who, regardless of if you think she's attractive, unattractive, hot, ugly, whatever your personal preference is for that, she doesn't exactly fit the description of Helen of Troy. And it's just one of so many reasons why people are very, very cautious about what Chris Nolan might be doing with The Odyssey.
Ignoring the second completely different mispronunciation of Lupita's name,
Lupita Nyong'o.
As we just went over, the main character is being portrayed by someone that doesn't physically match the description in the poem. And unlike Helen, we have actual descriptions of that character. Also, Ryan is using terms that were not used in the source material. Helen is not described as being fair-haired. In fact, the epithet used for Helen's hair is kalikomos, which actually translates to lovely or beautiful-haired. There is a Greek word for blonde hair, xanth or xanthos. This word was never used to describe Helen's hair color, but it was used to describe Achilles' hair color, as you can see here in Book 1 of the Iliad. So, once again, we lack actual physical descriptions of Helen because Homer chose to describe her in a way that expresses how she made people around her feel. Her hair theoretically could have been black, brown, or red. We'll never know because Homer has been dead for thousands of years.
And I mean, this caused a mass amount of backlash.
Yes, from racists and trolls on Twitter, but when are they ever not in an uproar about something? This is business as usual on that hell site. The vast majority of people going to see The Odyssey will not care about this, and that's even if Lupita is actually playing Helen. Remember, this is just a rumor as of February 4th. She could be playing an entirely different character.
Helen of Troy in 2004, Helen of Troy from 2026. Now, this is an edited image from Lupita Nyong'o in 12 Years a Slave that was kind of redone to make her look like she could be in a historical Greek epic or something like that. But there's a little bit of a difference between these things, don't we think? The very idea that this Greek story would have depicted Helen of Troy.
They don't know shit about anything they talk about. Don't know shit. It's truly insane to me.
As black is absolutely 100% ridiculous. It's the complete and total opposite of that.
Well, the good thing is that this isn't a Greek story. It's Christopher Nolan's story. And as the artist creating this film, he has control over who appears in the film and how they are depicted. I once again bring up the fact that this film features no Greek actors in its main cast at all.
And I'm going to take the chance to guess right now. These black actors, are going to be playing Ethiopians. I guarantee you, they're going to be playing Ethiopians or some other mythical role. But yeah, these people don't understand anything they talk about. It's truly insane.
There's even a Korean actor as one of the shipmates. So why is the black woman the cause for all the controversy? Hell, John Bernthal is playing Menelaus, the husband of Helen. This is important because Menelaus is repeatedly described in the Odyssey as explicitly having blonde hair, as you can see in this passage from the 4th book. But John doesn't have blonde hair, so why is there no uproar about the character Menelaus, Helen's husband? Why is there no uproar that there are 0 actors of Greek descent in the main cast, for that matter?
Oh, you know.
And we see the same thing that we see each and every time a character gets race swapped. You got people that are out there defending the same, well, there's no reason she can't be black. And, well, they didn't really describe her that. She could have been bull fucking shit. Yes, we know that this is a story, but this is a story by a Greek for Greeks about the Greek world.
And strangely, you have 0 problem with the fact that there are no Greeks in the film's main cast. By definition, the Finnish, Scottish, and English Matt Damon is a race swap. The English and Irish Tom Holland is not Greek. Anne Hathaway is all these things, and yet not one part of her ancestry is from Greece. So why is it that all of these people get to play pretend and Lupita cannot? Oh, it's her skin color. She can't play pretend because she has a different skin color than Benny Safdie, the Jewish person that's playing Agamemnon. I think we have a word for excluding people on the basis of their skin color.
Crafting together these little pieces, some things real, some things fictional, and wrap them all up into this historical epic that has lasted nearly 3,000 years. That's how impactful that story has been. And what do? You fucking race swap. Look, you can say what you want about diversity and representation, modernity. Bull fucking shit. We saw just the other day how a lot of black people got up in arms with the idea of a light-skinned black person playing Black Panther and how upset they got over it.
To be clear, there are 2 entirely separate issues.
Nobody's ever in their life gotten upset about that. And I even know in some of the Black Panther comics, he has like a light-skinned son. And nobody in their life has gotten upset about this. Niggas just talking.
What we are currently talking about is racism. What you are talking about is colorism. There is a long history of lighter-skinned black people receiving preferential treatment compared to their darker-skinned counterparts. This is called colorism. In an earlier video, I spoke about house Negroes versus field Negroes. Often, but not always, the house Negroes were the lighter-skinned black people who were treated better than the darker-skinned slaves out in the field. This concept has been passed down throughout American history and is why people get upset when a dark-skinned character gets cast with a lighter-skinned actor. Colorism, or discrimination within an ethnic group. Dark-skinned heroes are already far and few between, especially in relation to white characters, so taking even the small amount of representation those people have is a bad thing, yes. So these are not the same concepts at all, although they are tangentially related because they are both a form of discrimination.
It's okay when you adapt things from a certain time period, a certain place of the world, for them to reflect that. In fact, they should reflect that. You wouldn't want us race swapping a bunch of shit from some African fucking folklore, would you?
Yes, it would.
You fucking already do. You've been doing that shit for years. Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing here? You have been doing this shit for years, centuries.
Be strange.
Even black American shit. You take it and then proclaim it as you made it. You appropriate it. What are we doing?
If white people took the folklore of Africa and inserted themselves into properties based on that folklore, wouldn't it? That would be very weird if that ever happened in cinematic history. One might even call that hypocritical. But I'm sure white people have never actually portrayed ethnic groups that they don't belong to. That doesn't sound like a thing white people would ever do.
Is it a problem in Korean or Japanese media when they're telling stories like this? Well, there ain't enough white people in these stories. There ain't enough black people in these stories. Why is it always these white characters that seem continually to get erased time and time and time again?
You know, it's funny you should bring up Asian media and whether or not white people try inserting themselves there,
they
too.
do that shit all the time. All the fucking time. White people assert themselves in everybody's space. Everybody's space. Like, these people are perpetually delusional. They simply talk the talk. They like hearing themselves speak. They're fucking mentally deficient, and it's actually insane to me.
One only needs to head to any topic on the ethnic background of the characters in Naruto to find white people claiming Naruto is white. Uzumaki Naruto, white. It doesn't stop there either. People will claim the character of Goku is also white. You know, the character based on the figure in Chinese mythology, Sun Wukong. Get it? Sun Goku? Sun Wukong? See the staff? See the monkey tail? See how Japanese people pronounce Sun Wukong's name in Japanese? See how that particular kanji is on Goku's back? Yes, white people do this, Ryan.
And a lot of people have obviously weighed in on this. I've seen a lot of nicknames from Helen of Detroit to the face that launched 1,000 Crips. That one might be my personal favorite.
Yes, racist jokes that don't even fit the person you're joking about.
Right.
Lupita was born in Mexico, which is why her first name is Spanish. Lupita. Her family were immigrants to Mexico by way of Kenya. So you're using a racist joke meant to disparage black Americans for a Mexican Kenyan. Isn't it funny how you're okay with Lupita portraying a whole different nationality, but only when it's time to make racist jokes about her?
But even Elon Musk got in on this.
Who gives a shit? Let's move on.
It was when we'd seen the first couple trailers for the Odyssey, and a lot of people were talking about how the armor that we're seeing in the trailer for the...
It's fucking mythology. You fucking idiot. Nobody gives a fuck if the armor is accurate. Shut up, nigga. It's mythology. They had armor crafted by fucking divine beings. What are we doing?
Odyssey isn't reflective of the time period in which this was written. It would have been bronze armor, would have been different.
No, the fuck it wouldn't have. Sure, the Odyssey itself descends from the Mycenaean Greek age, but Homer was a classical Greek, excuse me. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
would have looked different. And I said at the time, those are absolutely valid complaints. Those are valid concerns. Those are valid criticisms about the armor not being in the proper time period. But what I said at the time is that 99% of people probably aren't going to care too much about that, because 99% of people will just look at this and be like, okay, that's old armor from ancient times. Got it. You know what most people will understand? That Helen of Troy didn't fucking look like this.
Well, Helen of Troy didn't look like anything because Helen of Troy is a fictional character that didn't exist. I could understand the argument if Helen were a historical figure that was actually flesh and blood, but she wasn't. She's a figure in Greek mythology whose father was Zeus and was born from an egg.
Her mother was molested by a fucking mythical swan, and she was hatched from an egg. What are we doing? And we don't even know if she's playing.
Question anyone needs to be concerned with here is, does Lupita do a good job in the role? If she's actually playing Helen, that is.
Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this don't look very fucking Greek epic to me, right? It's just not going to be a thing. And of course, yes, I know this is a story. You know, Helen of Troy's like origination in these fucking stories, in these legends. I'm pretty sure that Zeus raped the Queen of Sparta. The Queen of Sparta laid an egg, and that's what Helen of Troy came out of. Yes, we know these are stories.
Do you? Because you're acting as if the character is a real person that existed when she was a pretend person being played by a person who plays pretend for a living. What's funny about this is Helen is a side character in this story. The Odyssey is the story of Odysseus trying to return home after the Trojan War. That war has been over for 10 years by the time of the events of the Odyssey. Helen appears twice in the Odyssey, almost entirely in the fourth book, when Odysseus' son goes to visit Sparta. This is the scene in the 6-minute IMAX trailer that was shown before Avatar: Fire and Ash, where Menelaus tells the story of the Trojan horse to Odysseus' son, played by Tom Holland. In that trailer, you can see Lupita in the background just kind of being a side character. So, given that there are 24 books in the Odyssey, if she is playing Helen, this is a small part in what will be a pretty big film.
This is actually Chrissy with the original post, Chrissy Mayer. Christopher Nolan already ruined the Odyssey. Casting Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy is absolutely disgusting and goes directly against what was written thousands of years ago. And of course, you can have all these key descriptions from Homer, Iliad and the Odyssey. White-armed, emphasizing pale, smooth arms. Lovely hair or fair-skinned, indicating beautiful, well-groomed hair. Long robe, long dress, right? No one could blame the Greeks or Trojans for fighting so long over someone who looked so strikingly like an immortal goddess in face/appearance.
So these are things I went over earlier. White-armed is not a description of Helen's skin tone. It's poetic language meant to mean a woman that lives a life of leisure, mainly inside the house. Kalikomos does not mean fair-haired. It means lovely-haired. If the Greeks wanted to refer to someone's hair as blonde, they would use xanthos, as Homer does for Helen's husband. Anyone translating this word to mean blonde is the translator showing their own bias for blonde hair. The idea that a black woman couldn't look like a goddess is a pretty funny idea. The right side of this is using interpretations of the character, which I find deliciously ironic, given these people are upset with Nolan's interpretation of the character. These descriptions are not present in the Iliad or the Odyssey, so these not
present at fucking all. Like,
modern retellings are irrelevant when attempting to refer to the source material, which in any other instance, Ryan would agree. Just ask him how he felt when Harry and Norman Osborn were black in a cartoon. Let's move it along.
If this report turns out to be true, then this, I think, is going to be the biggest controversy of the movie. Not the armor not being quite in the right time period, not some of the other questionable castings, a random Travis Scott appearance. Why the fuck is Travis Scott in this? We don't know. I do think that Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy will be the biggest controversy.
Well then, that means the movie will be doing okay, considering Helen of Troy is barely in the Odyssey in the first place. So you're admitting this is a non-controversy. Anyway, there isn't much left to this video other than Ryan whining about John Leguizamo telling Trump supporters to fuck off, which...
he's out of line, but he's right.
In any case, my position on so-called race swaps is pretty clear. If the character's race isn't integral to that character's characterization, I don't care who portrays the character. When these silly people ask questions like, well, can Ryan Gosling play Black Panther then? They're being intellectually dishonest. T'Challa's ethnicity is foundational to his character, specifically created to be black in a time period.
Mentally deficient. They are mentally deficient. That's genuinely what it is.
Period where black Americans didn't have many heroes to look up to in comic books. Helen of Troy is one of those characters that was created in a time and place where the idea of an immutable racial identity wasn't a thing. Greeks weren't white people at the time Homer created the Iliad because white people as a concept didn't exist. So yes, you can have an Asian actress playing Helen, or an indigenous actress, or a black actress, and lose literally nothing about the character because the character wasn't specifically made to be white. Or you can cry on the internet about it and go watch Brad Pitt's Troy, where a German woman plays Helen. You know, because Germans and Greeks are the same, something I'm sure Homer definitely believed.
Yeah, man, this was a good video by Bird, man. Going all in again. But yeah, bro, these people are actually mentally deficient, and as I said, they talk the talk. They never actually understand what the hell they're talking about, and this goes for so many different things, whether it be mythology, history, or life itself. They simply talk the talk, and it's truly insane to me just how stupid these people are. We live in a world full of insane technology. You can do the simplest amount of research. If these people choose not to, they're just mentally deficient, and they're gonna stay that way. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe so I can continue giving you guys these reactions, and I'll see you next time.